Hi, I'm Euge Valovirta, and this one is about Brunetti Singleman H 50-watt tube head. Well, that was something completely different. I'm not really a jazz player, but when I plugged into this amp, the Brunetti Singleman, thanks Musics for letting me borrow this, I just felt like jazzy. But to be honest, I don't have a clue about jazz. I just played these, jazzy chords and totally improvised the whole thing. Kind of, did a simple drum beat and played bass with my fingers, which I usually don't do, and kind of just try to be. So, but you gotta expand your horizons sometimes. Anyway, it's great. Kind of this really smooth amp, glassy, jazzy amp. The signal chain is my LTD Phoenix. This is a Fat Cat P90 single coil. This is a Duncan Custom. And then into my pedal board. And the only effect I used in the end, when I started to solo a little bit, I used the NOBLES ODR Mini Overdrive. Great, kind of smooth overdrive. And then the signal from the amp goes to the KHG, where I'm gonna compare this to Plexi CYHRA 1987X. And then it goes to Sandrock React IR reactive load, where I have my trusty old signature IR Valovirtuos from Jens Bugren's lead and clean back. And then I'm recording the guitar to Cubase, same as always. Anyway, about the specs, so it's a one-channel amp. You can make it 50 watt, 15 or 2 watts, which is really cool, because 50 watt, it's really loud and there's no kind of like a master volume. The more volume you dial, it's kind of like preamp gain, so kind of like a Plexi. So Like this, it's very clean. The more you turn it, at a certain point it doesn't add volume, just adds a little bit gain, which is pretty cool. And then there's a brilliant switch. This adds, I don't know, 8K, I think, if I remember correct, like some dBs. So just that nice kind of silver. I like that on. Then there's fat and tweed switch. I had it on the tweed on the song. Well, fat is just fatter. Both are really cool. Like the tweed is, I think, feel a little bit kind of tighter. And then thick, this adds like low mids. I think somewhere around 250, 350, 300 hertz. On the upper position, it's just a little bit tighter. Cool. And then smooth, I think this cuts like highs, higher mids, somewhere around 4 or 5K. They're quite minor details, but really cool, so you can kind of shape the overall tone depending what kind of guitar and pickups you have and so on. So just to, you know, change the character of the amp a little bit. Kind of like it that it's not on. Alright, so it doesn't smoothen out the high end. And then there's your basic EQs, bass, middle, treble. They act a little bit like on the Plexi. The more you dial them, it adds also a little bit of gain to those frequencies. And then treble. You can get really jazzy. Where it opens. Cool. And then the reverb is really cool. So I had it on all the time. Just a small amount. And the reverb is foot switchable. So there's a effect loop behind, and you can connect channel switcher to switch the reverb on and off. And then the watch, so first 50, 15 and 2. So you can actually play this at bedroom levels and still crank the volume, which is really cool. But I have it on 50 now, so it's the reactive load. And the Plexi is 50, I'm going to compare it. So that's it. And on the mix, you probably heard there was a little bit delay. So I used soft tubes, tape echoes, stereo delay. It was a stereo track where I recorded the guitars just to make it a little bit wider. And then I blended in tiny amount of Eventide H949 harmonizer, which is on my effects, aux effects, and then I blended just that in a tiny amount to make it a little bit like a wider and give this nice lush feel to the guitar, so it's not completely dead center. And with the Nobles Overdrive, it sounds like Nobles is kind of transparent overdrive, so if I use Tube Screamer, it's quite different. Back to Nobles. So Tube Screamer boosts the midge, and then if I took SD, SD usually works the best with more gainier amps like 800 or whatever, but for these kind of cleanish amps I usually like to use a Tube Screamer or then kind of transparent overdrive like the Nobles ODR or Bass Blues Dropper. This is the Nobles. It works really well with these kind of clean, old school vintage amps because it kind of boosts the whole frequency spectrum. It has a really nice tone. Okay, let's compare these to Plexi. So I'm gonna put a picture, but it's a 50-watt Plexi. The settings what I have now is everything's pretty much on 2 o'clock, except the normal volume, which I blended in just a little bit. So it's not even cranked. So Plexi, especially the 50-watt, it has quite a lot of gain. It's really aggressive. It's my favorite Plexi. That's why I have it. And back to Brunetti. It's a lot cleaner and kind of bolder amp, but it works really well with the Nobles. Back to Plexi. It's just a classic rock and roll sound. Anyway, really cool amp. So, conclusion. If you're looking for a vintage, old school, kind of JDM 45, tweed style amp, you know, good pedal platform, really clean. Even when the volume is cranked, it stays fairly clean. It takes pedals really well, and this is really cool. The kind of attenuators, you can actually use this at home without necessarily having a reactive load. So you can put this on 2 watt and crank. It's like you heard, it's really quiet. Great amp. You know, I like these single channel old school amps because to me they just have a kind of soul and vibe, and I always, you know, find them really inspiring. And like on the song I wrote for this, not on my comfort zone, but it's really cool when gear inspires you to write, you know, something, in this case, completely out of my comfort zone, but, you know, I think it worked out pretty well. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this interesting and informative. Until next time, take care. Bye.